This is the College Football Show presented by AT&T 5G. We're getting right into it with the best video we saw today. It's a mayo bath. I'm not sure how I feel about any of that, but that's a hell of a way to start a college football season. Smearing it all over himself. We're going to see that throughout the course of the day and everything you could possibly need to know, because we are back yet again for another year of the College Football Show presented by AT&T 5G. I'm Jason Fitz, joined by my good friend Harry Douglas. Now, Harry, you did this show a few years ago.
Yes,
I've done this show a few times, but like Voltron, we've been friends for years. This is the first time every week we get to hang out and do a show together. How excited are you to get to work with me?
Fitz, I'm very excited. And for those of you who don't know, this is my fraternal twin, Jason Fitz. We've been cooking this up for 2 years, and our chemistry is crazy. Just wait till y'all see it.
Yeah, well, we're going to be coming at you live every single Saturday right now, 7 to 8 p.m. You know the drill, and we're going to be everywhere that you get your action. So that's the ESPN app, Twitter, YouTube, Facebook, all of it. And we're here to get you caught up on all the action from today and also to set the table for what you can expect tonight. You'll always get a little bit of all of it. We're sort of your other screen. So you've been drinking and watching college football all day. We've been, drinking water and watching college football all day. So let's get right to the action from the game this afternoon that everybody thought was going to be the game that turned out to be the blowout. And that is Alabama taking on Miami. That was the big game we all had eyes on, and it starts with Bryce Young. Bryce Young comes out. We got all the star power. Everybody's warming up. Bryce Young drops back, hits John Mechie III. He does a little Fred Astaire there. He goes, whoop, whoop, whoop. I like to dance. I like to dive. And I get that touchdown.
Hit him with the dead leg. Hit him with the dead leg.
You like that? We got a couple of angles on this. You like that dive there, Harry?
Yeah, you take flight, and I'm not talking about an airplane.
Oh, look at that. And the pylon cam coming in handy for that. That made it 7-0 early, which, by the way, was just the beginning of this onslaught. I love the stutter step, too, which is just a reminder of athleticism. Bryce Young again, dropping back. Look at that. They're up 17-0 at this point. And it's just beginning as we expected some explosiveness from Bama. Bryce Young stepping back again. Look at this. Sheds a tackle. Sheds a tackle and says, swiggity swooty, I'm coming for that booty. I always get it in the beginning, Harry.
I like that. But what about this thing about Alabama, right? These guys reload year in and year out, right? Today. You have Jamison Williams, a receiver who went over 100 yards today. It's just like they reload. They have the players, but not only that, though, Fitz, Alabama is that much more better, I think, than most people, especially Miami today.
Look at that score, 44-13. Now, I don't get to say I was right very often, but man, a lot of you on Twitter the last few days when I was hosting College Football Live came at me for saying Bama would win this game by 30. I was right. Look, is this a statement, though? This is a real question. Is this a statement about the greatness right now of Alabama, or is it a statement that, maybe we were overestimating Miami coming into the season?
I think both. I think Miami is just so – right now they're trying to find their way. Right? And today they didn't do it. They didn't do it, and they were going against the Alabama defense offensively. They were. That's just stacked. And then you look at Bryce Young. He comes out here and plays the way he plays, a stud in the making. Okay, you got Mac Jones, who did a great job, won a national championship last year. But who steps in? Bryce Young. And all he does is throw for 4 touchdowns and 344 yards. So I would take that all day, any day. Shout out to Bryce Young.
Yeah, and I mean, we just have to have a quick conversation here because over the course of the next hour, there are some question marks about the ACC. We can talk about depth all day. That's fine. But Miami was supposed to be a great team, right, in the eyes of some. I mean, are we looking at now on the heels of North Carolina? It's like, have we overhyped the ACC as a whole?
I think we might have, Fitz, because you look what happened in North Carolina in game number 1. You look at Miami getting blown out today. But I'm still high on Boston College. I'm still high on NC State. I think Dave Duren and what he's doing at NC State, he got those guys to buy into a culture, buy into a system. I think NC State is going to be good. They actually went 8-4 last year, so look out for that team. They're on the rise.
We all know that this conversation is really about Clemson, and we'll get into Clemson, Georgia later because what's on the line? Well, the rest of the ACC, if they turn out not to be good, only puts more pressure on tonight's matchup. In the meantime, we had another big matchup today with Oklahoma. All eyes were going to be on this game being moved to Oklahoma. They did some great things for Tulane and giving them the gate. Really good move there. But we go into this game. Kennedy Brooks plows ahead for the 1-yard touchdown. Puts the Sooners up 21-14. Later on, Spencer Rattler swings it to Mario Williams. Confuses his defender. Gets over the pylon. Sooners up 37-14. at that point. At the half, they were up. This is 40-28. Michael Pratt, nice little pass there. Pratt had a heck of a game, really gutty performance. You get this 5-yard touchdown. Tulane only down 40-35. Pratt in trouble after an onside kick recovery. We'll get into that in a second. Looks like he has it, and man, comes up inches short. He needed 13 yards on that 4th down play. Only got 12 3/4. That's the difference in the game. The final score on this one, 40-35. Pay no attention to the man behind the curtain there. Final score on Oklahoma beats Tulane 40-35. Rattler with 304 yards passing, 1 touchdown, 1 passing touchdown, 2 interceptions. And Rattler spoke after the game. Before we get into everything, I want you to hear what the quarterback had to say after the game about this game and his performance.
First off, shout out to Tulane, even for coming down here. You know, I appreciate those guys for coming down here and playing us with everything going on where they're from. And that's a tough team. I mean, that was one of the hardest hitting teams, one of the most physical teams I've ever played. And, you know, they came out there and played great. They played better than us for sure. They wanted to win more than us. You could just tell it.
I mean, we were sitting on campus when I saw the onside kick get recovered, and I may or may not have said a word that's not appropriate for Mickey Mouse. Have you ever been on a team that had an onside kick recovered?
Of course, Fitz. Of
Really?
course. And
Really?
we had a great time. We had a great time going down and score. It's been times where my offensive team have been down in, I'll say, college and NFL games, but we found a way to come back. Shout out to Matt Ryan, Matty Ice, and Brian Braun when I had them at Louisville. But I want to give a shout out to Chip Long, my guy, offensive coordinator for the Green Wave. Man, that performance, but I think I'm more so worried about Oklahoma's defense, the same defense that everybody has been talking about is going to be better this year. But in game 1, we've seen the same song, same story that we've been seeing in the past with Oklahoma.
Yeah, and Harry also, I mean, we were watching the games, and this is the way we prep this show, right? We try and watch everything together, and I thought it was interesting when you were watching the game, just your reactions to Spencer Rattler, not just on the picks, but throughout. I mean, the decision-making has to be a question. Look, there's no question that Oklahoma came out a little bit flat. I felt like they came out without some killer instinct in this game. Looked like they expected a walkthrough, and they weren't really ready for it. But Spencer Rattler was a concern for you, Harry.
Yeah, he's going to have to be better. You can't just loft balls up in the middle of the field and just pray that your guys come down with it. It's not like you have receivers that are 6'5", 6'6", 6'7", that can go up and get these footballs, because against great opponents, that's going to cost Spencer Rattler. That's what we seen early on from him in last season. That's why he had his struggles. But going into game 1, I think he's going to shake it off, and you learn from your mistakes. You get better from your mistakes, because he is the leading candidate right now to win the Heisman Trophy. But he has to make better decisions on the football field.
And this makes a couple of the prominent programs we've seen in Ohio State and Oklahoma that have come out and had their fair share of issues. We'll see how it normalizes. Meantime, speaking of matchups, we got a great one today, a conference rivalry matchup. Penn State taking on Wisconsin, and this was a defensive slugfest or terrible offense. I'm not sure. But I know watching the Camp Randall Stadium action was incredible. And pick this up here, second half. Sean Clifford says, hell with it. Chucks it up for Dotson. 49-yard touchdown, 7-0. Let's take a look at this one again, Harry.
Slot post by Jahan Dotson. They finally broke one. Touchdown. One of the better receivers in college football. I don't even know how Wisconsin let him get by himself, but shout out to Sean Clifford.
We've got Wisconsin there. Talk about a great catch. Jake Ferguson, the diving, juggling. I got it. Hot potato. That's mine catch. Sets Wisconsin up at the goal line, and that's all they needed. As Ches Malusi strolls into the end zone. Badgers touchdown, 7-7 at this point. Now we got Graham Mertz dropping back, rolls out, takes off. Gets whacked by Penn State's Ellis Brooks. Important play here with about 5:45 left, because Wisconsin smartly took a timeout, waiting to get an official replay, which eventually came for targeting, and then Brooks was kicked out of the game, as happens. It was a penalty. Wisconsin continues to move forward. So now you've got this beautiful pick here. Oh, sorry, that's a different pick. That's the pick at the end of the game. That seals it 16-10. Penn State gets the win over Wisconsin. Sean Clifford was not good in this game. I don't care what the stats say. He had a couple of times where he overthrew Dotson. On another big play, he underthrew Dotson. Dotson had his way in the second half. Clifford was not helping his wide receiver, and there should have been more points. So Clifford's got to get better at this point, in my mind, Harry.
Well, for Penn State, he has to, right? He's going to have to be more efficient. You see the stats right there, 18 for 33. That's about 54% completion percentage of your passes. But for Penn State Penn State struggled for this entire ball game, but shout out to their defense. Their defense never gave up. But for Wisconsin, you got to be hitting yourself. The self-inflicted wounds, the red zone. Oh, my goodness. The turnovers. You had 2 times in the red zone where they had fumbled quarterback, running back exchanges. You just can't have those type of things because in the end, it came back to hunt them.
All right, now I want to go off here, and I'm going to throw our guys in the back. Sid and Drew, we've got a great team working behind the scenes. I'm hoping we can get that targeting play up again. If we can't, either way, I need to go off here. Right.
What
so we got the play here. Right. And I want to take a look at this because the broadcast went nuts over it. Fans went nuts over it. Now look at this play. At the end of the day, you have a defensive player that's going up, and he's not a quarterback at that point, but look up close. The defensive player looks down. That's crown of the helmet. I can't say this loud enough. I don't care what you think of the rule. It is the rule. And at some point, we've got to all stop yelling about what college football needs to do and start looking at each other for accountability with what the rules look like today. If you think college football is soft, I don't give a damn. At the end of the day, you've got to look at what the rule states. And the rule says, if the crown of your helmet hits somebody above the shoulder, you're gone. This is crown of the helmet. And I don't know why we get so fired up about the rule without acknowledging the fact that guys aren't doing what they need to do.
Well, Fitz, I'll tell you this. Being a former player in this league, I would rather somebody hit me up top above my shoulders versus trying to blow my knees out and tear my ACL. I've had an ACL injury, Fitz. I'm just telling you. I would rather somebody hit me at the top of my head versus tearing my ACL. I don't wish that on my worst enemy.
You're right about that, and the rule is trash. But at the same time, so are speed limits in certain parts of town, right? Like, you get that one road where all of a sudden you're going 55, then suddenly it's 35, and you're like, what are we doing here? Why is it
I don't understand what they want defensive players to do. Like, this guy's coming full speed.
You got to look up.
He's going full speed trying to tackle a guy. So he doesn't know how that offensive player is going to react, right? What if that offensive player ducks his head? You don't know if he's going to slide. You just don't know what the offensive player is going to do. I just think they're putting these defensive players in binds, right? Because in a split of a second, those things are hard to try to overcome, man.
And again, you're not wrong about any of this. But at the end of the day, the rule is what the rule is.
That's a football play.
Yeah, but the rule is what the rule is. And we have these college football seminars where we go in.
I got to stop you. Look at the quarterback. If you look a defender in his face, you can protect yourself. He looked right at him. So duck, get down, go out of bounds. Don't try to dip your shoulder like you're a fullback and you won't get this contact. He looks right at him, looks at him right in his eyes.
What part of the helmet hit the guy? And I'm not even going to say quarterback because he's a runner at this point. What part of that? Right there.
You're right.
That's crown of the helmet.
You're
and
right.
And look, we do this college football seminar every year where we sit down as a company and we all go over all the rules. And every year we spend so much time arguing about targeting and whether it's a good call or it's a bad call. And at the end of the day, we all agree the rule's trash. But I don't care about the fact that
they made the right call.
That is the right call for the way the rule is written, and you're not going to change the rule right now.
Nope.
If you're not going to change the rule, then players need to accept the fact. Now, thank God for everybody with Penn State. They don't have a huge opponent next week because it would cost them an entire game for one of their stars.
And I think that's their best defensive player.
And it's a broken rule. But why fans are yelling about it every single time? Like, at some point, you got to look guys in the eyes and say, hey, the rule might stink, but you got to follow it. And that's what drives me crazy about all of it.
Well, there are consequences for your actions. And right there, you see the consequences for him leading with the crown. He gets ejected. Now, the rule is the rule. Now, I'll definitely 100% give you that. But you know I'm old school, Fitz. You know I'm old school, Fitz. I'm old school football, Fitz.
Yeah, well, that's all he's got to say about that. Like, that's Harry's way of saying he disagrees with me, but he loves me too much to say it. It's the College Football Show presented by AT&T 5G. He's Harry Douglas. I'm Jason Fitz. Let's keep moving. We'll go to the next game. I did not see this one coming. I said I was right earlier. I've been wrong about this one. When you got Iowa, Indiana, first quarter, Tyler Goodson takes the handoff and says, bye-bye. Bye-bye, love. I'll see you later. He's all in. Soars to the end zone. 56-yard touchdown. Iowa strikes first versus Indiana. You got this pass by Michael Penix Jr.
Oh, my goodness.
Can't do it.
Can't have
do it.
that. Can't
Not
have
you,
it.
Fat Jesus. You can't do that.
Can't have it.
Pick sixes can't happen that way. I expected a lot of this Indiana team. Hell, I said they were a football school earlier. Oops. 34-6. Iowa over Indiana. Harry, I'm stunned, and I'm suddenly looking at all of this in fairness. Do we need to recalibrate what we think of Indiana? Because, my God.
Well, I'll tell you this. Today, looking at this Indiana versus Iowa football game, I'm disappointed in Michael Penix Jr. His first interception might not have been his fault. The receiver slipped and fell down. Ball ricocheted off him. Tip balls is most likely going to be an interception. You don't want it to go for a touchdown. But that second one that we've seen is a simple, quick game. The receiver runs up 5 yards, turn around. The football's supposed to be on his outside shoulder. He left the football inside, leaving the corner to come break on it for a pick six. And I tell you, your chances of winning a football game, Fitz, if you have 2 pick sixes against you, are probably going to be 1 or 2%. So I was disappointed with Michael Penix Jr., but one thing I can tell you about Iowa, there's 2 things we can count on for my Iowa football team. An offensive line being really good and them having some good running backs. And they showed that physicality today against Indiana.
Yeah, you are 1,000% right. And by the way, as you get these breakdowns, for anybody that doesn't know, not only is Harry my incredible friend, and not only is he dashingly good looking, he was also a wildly successful wide receiver in college football in the NFL. So, you know,
just a little something.
I mean, I'm just saying, I like to remind people of the resumes of the people that I get to work with on these shows, because it's really interesting to me to hear the breakdowns of the routes and why they work.
You're my boy, Blue.
Look, I'm still bummed. I'm really mad about this game because I didn't get to say Ty Fryfogel's name one time, and I just like saying that name.
Who's a dynamic receiver?
I know.
Dynamic receiver.
And a fun name to say.
Oh, man.
Fryfogel. All right, Michigan, they're moving us on. Michigan, Western Michigan at the Big House. First quarter, Cade McNamara finds Blake Corum, 14-yard tutty out of this one. Michigan goes up 7-0. Little celebration. Oh, feels good to have fans back all over the Big Ten. It just felt good today. Second quarter, Michigan up 10-7 on the move. Look at that.
That's my guy.
Ronnie Bell
That's
takes
my
it to the
guy.
house. 76-yard touchdown. Harry, what you see on this play? It was interesting listening to you break this down.
Well, I'll tell you, look how Ronnie Bell stays straight. It's a slot fade. If he moves to the outside, the corner is going to cut him off. But the fact that he kept his stem straight, and then when he got about, I'll take a step or 2 in front of the defender, that's when he broke to the outside. That allowed him to get wide open. Touchdown, Ronnie Bell. And I really like me some Ronnie Bell.
We're moving on here to A.J. Henning, bouncing it on the outside, down the sidelines. And then he says, oh,
bye-bye.
Swooty, I want that booty. Twice in this show. There you go. Never enough. 74-yard touchdown run. Press the turbo button right through the middle of that. Michigan wins this one 47-14. And let's just say it loudly, not a dang thing we can take away from this game. Michigan did what they should do. We'll see what it means moving forward.
Well, I like that Cade McNamara. He did a great job today getting the football to the places that he needed to get to. But I was more impressed with Michigan's run game. I think they rushed for over 300 yards in this game. So good start for Michigan. Are you going to celebrate a game against Western Michigan? You're probably not. But for a confidence booster, for Jim Harbaugh, for this quarterback, for his team, I thought it was a good win, and I think they came out on top today very well.
All right, it's time to get to the game we're all thinking about. Oh, just look at the scene there in Charlotte. Georgia, Clemson tonight, 7:30 Eastern. We got a doozy of a primetime matchup tonight on ABC. Before we get you caught up on our thoughts on it, let's get hyped and then hear from Holly Rowe, who's at the game.
We've never seen a more important matchup between Clemson and Georgia.
A game that should be played year in and year out.
Most teams can't say they play in a top 5 game the first week. That's why I committed to the school for games like this.
When you come to play college football, this is what you want. Heavyweight battle and very challenging.
In this game, talent is everywhere. They bring everything they got. We're going to bring everything we got.
DJ Uiagalelei. Obviously big shoes to fill for a young, talented thrower.
Can't keep Trevor for 20 years. DJ Uiagalelei, he's one of a kind.
It's now or never, now or never, yeah, it's now or never.
Hello, touchdown.
This is why Georgia fans are so excited.
It's now or never, yeah, the time is now.
Anytime you start stacking wins and you go to compare teams at the end of the season, this will be a game that's referenced and talked about.
You go 1-0 each week, hopefully you reach the promised land.
Can't win the national championship, can't lose it, simply win the opener.
Work hard, play hard, that's what I'm about.
All right, here we are. We're out for pregame warm-ups. I think the fans like DJ. His outfit looks pretty good. It's pretty good. Cinco, the fans like it, I know that. What's up, Twitter Live? Holly Rowe here from the Clemson-Georgia game. I'm here on the field. Dabo Swinney just walking in. You can hear the fans love seeing their head coach. We're going to have a really good one here. Georgia and Clemson. I'm expecting a really close, exciting game. both teams have some big question marks, but we have star power at the quarterback position. You saw DJ Uyunglele come in, and we know that JT Daniels is looking forward to taking over for the Georgia Bulldogs.
Thanks, Holly. As always, great stuff from her. And again, you can check that game out right after. In fact, if you're watching this in the app, you can just authenticate with your provider. Stick around right here and watch all of the action. It's a college football show presented by AT&T 5G. Harry Douglas, Jason Fitz. We'll get to quarterback talk, Harry. But let's start with what you think is the most important part of this matchup.
Fitz, big guys need loving too, baby. I'm talking about the defensive linemen, not just for Georgia, but for Clemson also. Big Jordan Davis, big Devontae Wyatt. You got Adam Anderson for UGA, but you look at Clemson, you talk about deep. Brian Breesy, Miles Murphy, Justin Foster, KJ Henry, Xavier Thomas, Maz Call. You have so many guys on the defensive line, especially for Clemson. I think this defensive unit for Clemson can be what it was when they had Dexter Lawrence, Keelan Farrell, Austin Bryant. Those hogs up front, those guys got that experience last year. Now they're ready to dominate and ball. And by the way, Georgia's defensive big guys up front. They aren't bad either, Fitz.
I mean, aren't bad. Like that's why, I mean, here's the big thing I'm saying to all of this. Hammer the under. And by that, I mean, I really expect a defensive struggle. When you think about these two offenses, I think most weeks they're going to be able to put 40 on anybody. But this week particularly, you are talking about two defensive lines that can rotate guys in, which is going to be important in the heat and the humidity and everything else that comes with early season games. And plus, Kirby Smart, the last 5 years in his opener, has hit the under every single time the last 5 years. I keep looking at this saying defensive battle, even though we love talking about quarterbacks. Speaking of, let's get to the obligatory quarterback talk, and that comes to DJ Uyunglele. And we saw him a couple of times last year, so I feel like everybody's really comfortable just saying, hey, DJ Uyunglele is going to be spectacular. There is still an adjustment when you don't have Trevor Lawrence. And by the way, spectacular work by me saying Uyunglele this many times. I'm just bragging.
I like it. But when you look at DJ Uyunglele, I like him. He got a chance last year to get that experience, Fitz. Boston College, Notre Dame, a high-rated opponent last year in that game. Played well in both games. So you come into this season, he doesn't need to get acclimated. The team is already his, and you don't hear too much talk about Trevor Lawrence, right? You don't hear too much talk about that because DJ Uyunglele is that guy, and they believe in him. Not just the coaching staff, but his teammates and the fan base. On the opposite side, JT Daniels. I'm looking forward to him. I think he needs this game to build his confidence a little bit more. But look at that space eater right there.
I mean,
I don't know a man looking that big, 6'6", 340. He'll eat your lunch. And he's moving nimble.
Oh, now we got Justin Ross out there warming up, which plays to some of this. I mean, part of the reason I think we're so comfortable with DJ in the quarterback is you got Justin Ross coming back, right, as your wide receiver to get out there and get it done. So, I mean, there's comfort in that relationship and their ability to have known each other for a while. It makes it easier when you're comfortable with the guys outside.
One of the best wide receivers in the game in college football. He missed last year, but now he's back. I think this receiver group for Clemson is going to be way better than they was last year, and I think they average height about 6'4", 6'5". The DBs for Georgia are going to have a hard time with that.
I mean, there's a familiar face.
Sunshine. Hey, Sunshine. We glad you can make it, Sunshine.
I mean, are you a fan of that? Like when you're would you go back? Well, you're going to go back. We'll get to that later.
Yes, I am.
Yeah, like former players out there on the sideline. You like that? You all in?
I do, actually. I actually like looking at the game from the sidelines because it feels the same as if you're playing. So I don't like really sitting in the stands. If I have to do it, I do it. But if I can sit on the sidelines and watch the game from point blank, eye view level, field level, that's what I want to do, Fitz.
You are so full of it. He's saying that. It's like, it's better view. No. Harry Douglas travels VIP. Like, there's just a moment of Harry Douglas, like, he walks into a restaurant, he wants the best table, right? Like, we're just calling it what it is. I mean, that's all I'm saying. All right, let's.
You're not lying. You're not lying. You're not lying.
You like fancy stuff. That's all good.
I like what I like.
That's why your feet hit the ground, I'm noticing, and mine don't. Let's go some picks. Harry, who you got in this game?
I'm going to go with Clemson. When you look at this Clemson football team, I think the only place that they aren't stacked is the running back position, and that's because Travis Etienne is not there. Now, you have you have Dixon, but then you have Kobe Pace, and then you have Will Shipley. So they're going to do it by committee. That's the only group where I have a little little question mark at. Everywhere else, they are stacked and deep. So I'm going with Clemson in this one.
So early in the season, I use a phrase too much called benefit of the doubt. And for me, you've got to look at it whether it's college football or the NFL, and you've got to apply it across the board evenly in my mind when we've seen nothing. When I apply benefit of the doubt to Georgia's offense and say, hey, JT Daniels is going to be everything we hope he's going to be, spectacular, all of the weapons, their ability. I love that. But there is no coach in college football, no coordinator I give more benefit of the doubt to than Brent Venables. Brent has had the entire summer to figure out how to shut down Georgia's offense. I think he'll be able to do that. So this comes down to a coaching matchup in my mind, and that's why I'm going to take Clemson in this game. I think it's a great game. I think it's a close game. I think it's a defensive game. But it is hard for me, if I'm going to say all of those things, then not to say the X factor is Brent Venables.
Well, it has to be. You look at the things that he liked to do. And the last time we seen Clemson play was against Ohio State in the semifinals, right? They got out physical, and they got beat with tempo. So what did they do? And they didn't tackle well. So what did they do this spring? Coach Venables said, we're going to get back to the basics. We're going to work on this form tackling. We're going to get back to the basics of the game, the fundamentals, and that's what they did. I'm looking forward to seeing those two linebackers lined up in the A-gaps, coming on cross-dog blitzes. But you know what he likes to have? A flavor of the day. We don't know what that blitz is going to be, but I'm pretty sure JT Daniels better be ready for it because it's coming.
Well, the flavor of the day tonight on ABC is this game. It's the one you want to watch, obviously. Watch number 5, Georgia, take on number 3, Clemson at the bottom of the hour on ABC. We'll also have a live look-in into the game a little later on in our show, so you don't have to go anywhere. You can hang out with us. We'll make sure you're caught up, and we'll have the obligatory conversation about who has more pressure with maybe a surprising answer. That's all coming up. Oh, it is that time. The cows are mooing. Harry Douglas, I don't know how much about farming you know, but I know how you know how to rate plays. This is the biggest upgrade we've ever had in the history of the show. It is just the close-up face of the cow. And I always wonder, like, what the photographer thought. Like, is he laying on the ground? I don't know. These are the questions. We'll let Harry go first. We're going to rate the best plays of the day, and we'll start with some Boston College action here. We got Phil Jerkovich hits Trey Berry here over the middle. And then check this out. He's going for the end zone. He's like, oh, ooh, I'm bendy. Leapfrogging over the defender for a touchdown. And then he had the energy left to jump at the end.
Ooh, okay.
You like this? You in for this?
Oh, 400 hurdles? Okay. Trey Berry.
All right.
Transfer from Jacksonville State, a guy who was an All-American there at Jacksonville State. Hey, no 100 long. It's no problem.
What number are you giving it?
I'm going to give it an 83.
Oh, you are generously scoring. You've just set a standard for the entire season. I don't know.
Well, I felt like he could have got a little bit higher on this jump. I don't think he would have cleared the hurdles if they were out there. So, Trey, I need you to work on your vertical a little bit more, buddy.
I'm not going to tell you that.
Just a little bit.
I have a hard time jumping over a cardboard box in my house, so I can't really give you any grief for that. All right, let's go up. I'm going to score this next one. Heading out to Kennesaw State for this one. You're going to love this pick from Welton Spotsville. Look at that, the full extension for the nasty interception. I mean, he lays out, goes full, dun-dun-dun, Superman, and gets it. I don't know why I felt like I had to sing Superman. I don't feel like Superman really sings much. But I will tell you, Harry, you're about to learn something. I'm a tough scorer because that's a good play. But it gets a 74 from me.
Ooh,
74. Like, that was good.
You're a tough one.
It's early in the season. Plus, we all know those gloves are sticky. I'm just saying.
You're a tough one, man.
Your receivers and corners and everybody diving out with those gloves. I've felt those gloves before. They're sticky. Sticky gloves.
You're a tough one, man.
I know, that's fair. All right, you ready for the next play?
Let's go.
All right, let's see what we got here. We're going to go to the next play. Second play of the game between Miami of Ohio and Cincinnati. Not much of a game. And look at that. Desmond Ridder wastes no time. Heaves an 81-yarder to Tyler Scott. Look at this one again. We'll get a replay on it. Crowd going nuts in Cincinnati, by the way. Home of Kings Island, my favorite theme park in the country.
And I tell you what I like about this. This play right here, the offensive coordinator knew that I was going to get my receiver matched up with the safety. I was always taught, and quarterbacks are always taught, if my receiver is one-on-one with the safety, just throw it up there. Those guys can't play the ball. So that's why I gave this score at 90, because it was a good play design by the offensive coordinator. Great job by Desmond Ridder completing the football, and great job by the receiver by getting a touchdown.
You have no idea what you're doing here at this point. That was just a guy running fast and a guy heaving a ball at him.
He's matched up one-on-one with a stiff safety. We call it, instead of saying stiff safety, we call it a stiff. One-on-one with a stiff, give him a chance for a whiff.
Wow, that's the sort of analysis you're going to get here. I think we have another holy cow play, so we're going to try and rip another one in here. And this comes from Iowa. Look at Tyler Goodson. Oh, the little jump. Now that's what I call some ups. That's also a lot of work for not a lot of yards. So it's tough for me to figure out how to score this one because that is impressive when you're like doing the milk crate challenge without any milk crates. But I'm giving it I am not giving it a 92.
Yes, you are.
We are. Oh,
yes, you are.
I'm giving it a 92.
Yes, you are.
Wow.
Unlike Trey Berry, Goodson actually cleared the hurdles. Yeah. That's what he did. So I liked it. And I like him as a running back, too. He's solid as a running back. He's solid.
I don't even know what to say to that 92. There will be a conversation after the show about my rankings. Very inconsistent.
Right when I thought you was going to be a hard grader, you come with a 92. So I don't know. You're all over the place, Fitz. You're all over the place, man.
All right. Let's get to the next highlight as we catch you up on the action from throughout the day. Iowa State taking on Northern Iowa. Great jazz school, Northern Iowa, by the way. Iowa State's Breece Hall punching one in for the Cyclones, gives them a 10-7 lead. They get a couple of field goals later in the game. This is not a misprint. The score is 16-10 on this. Number 7, Iowa State, is up 16-10 over Northern Iowa. Again, the great jazz program, Northern Iowa, not the great football program in the eyes of most. So Brock Purdy, at least an efficient game. Breece Hall not getting going the way we would expect. That's not the start we would expect, echoing some of what we've seen throughout the course of all of this.
I would say deja vu. Last year, they lost to Louisiana early, so you better watch out, Iowa State. But for Brock Purdy, Breece Hall, they have all kind of guys, Dan Campbell, that defense. I'm looking for Iowa State to make a splash, a big splash in the Big 12, but you cannot start off the season slow like you're doing right now.
Well, speaking of big splashes, we've got a big splash on the College Football Show presented by AT&T 5G. Harry Douglas, I'm Jason Fitz. Big splash coming Sunday. That's what I love about the first weekend of college football season, weekend 1. And we get Notre Dame at Florida State. Now, obviously, that game you can check out on ABC. And we all know Notre Dame around here, especially because, let's face it, we're all friends with Mike Golick Jr. So we hear plenty about the Fighting Irish. I don't think Florida State is going to be able to put up much of a fight against Notre Dame here, Harry. Like, what are you looking for in this matchup?
I'll say in this matchup, the battle of the transfer quarterbacks, you have Mackenzie Milton coming from Central Florida. We all know what his history was with his injury. And then you got Jack Cohen coming over from Wisconsin to be the starting quarterback for Notre Dame. So I'm looking forward to seeing both of these guys and how they want to finish their career with these new teams that they have. Mackenzie Milton won this job down in Florida State, and I think he is a good quarterback. I think he can play the game of football. He makes great decisions. Jack Cohen, I would like to see what he's going to do with Baby Gronk there at Notre Dame, and Avery Davis, and those two studs at the running back position. So I'm looking forward to this game, but I picked this game as my upset. Woo! And Gojo's not going to be happy with me. I'm sorry, Gojo, but I picked this game as my upset.
You were just going for a bunch of points, like that, right?
Well, I believe more so much so in Mackenzie Milton. I think he's a guy who could play the game of football, man. He just got hurt, had that nasty injury, but he's back, and he has something to prove to the world.
Yeah, well, speaking of something to prove, I think a lot of people would say Mike Norvell, the head coach at Florida State, has something to prove at this point. This was a big job for him coming off of the Memphis job and came with a lot of hype. And let me be very clear here, too. Coach Norvell is somebody that I think has done a very good job at Memphis, particularly using whatever pieces he had to play the best chess game he could. So one year they'd come in and be heavy on the run. The next year they'd come in and spread out. It doesn't matter. He genuinely took his system and made it work to his players. That's why I was excited for him with Florida State. But let's be real, Harry. It didn't start the way I think a lot of people wanted it to start, not just on the field, but off of it.
Well, I think the first thing that happened was the trust of his players, of the guys on the team, right? You had the incident with George Floyd, the killing happened, and then he went to the media and said that, hey, I talked to my guys about it, and then you seen Marvin Wilson, their team captain, their guy, their star player came out and said, no, you didn't. And then it was another issue with the COVID protocols with another guy on the team. So right there you have two issues last year. And not only did this Florida State team not have great production last year, but I think those trust issues showed up in these guys' play. They didn't buy into the system. But for year 2, for Mike Norvell, the main thing to do is to get the trust from your players so they can run through a brick wall for you. Now, I will say this. I think Mike Norvell is an unbelievable coach. I think he's a great coach. So all you got to do now is go out there and get it done. Get those trust for those players, because once you have that, those guys will run through a brick wall for you.
Yeah, but the question becomes, as much as we think run for a brick wall, For what? Like, what's the new cap for who Florida State can beat? I think that's one of the things that we have to do with some of these schools we're talking about today. You know, we have this conversation constantly with Miami.
Yeah.
De'Aaron King in Miami was somebody that felt like everybody wanted to make a juggernaut. We saw how that went so far today against Alabama. With Florida State, we're constantly trying to make Florida State who they were with Bobby Bowden. And it should be noted they're going to honor Bobby Bowden throughout the course of this season, which is an incredible thing, and I think is going to give them a little bit of an oomph on Sunday. I think there's a lot of emotion behind it. But as Mike Norvell tries to figure out what this identity for this Florida State team is, like, what's the ceiling for the program now?
Well, I'll tell you this, and Inky Johnson, a friend of mine, actually spoke about this when I had the chance to interview him, right? He said, once the standard is the standard, you don't waver the standard. Florida State University has a standard. We talked about Bobby Bowden, right? I remember growing up as a kid watching Charlie Ward, Derrick Brooks, Warwick Dunn, Peter Warwick, all these guys, Mickey Andrews. There's a standard at Florida State. And once these guys understand that standard, it doesn't compromise for anybody. That's when we'll get Florida State being the team that they were in the 90s. That's when we're going to get them in the early 2000s, where they understand the standard is the standard, and it doesn't waver for anybody.
Well, it's going to be interesting to see because I think there's a ton of pressure on Mike Norvell this year, not to necessarily win games, but to look better. This entire program needs to look better. Again, you can watch it all start for the year Sunday night. Number 9, Notre Dame taking on Florida State, 7:30 Eastern on ABC. Don't forget to tweet our friend Mike Golick Jr. during the game, especially if Notre Dame's struggling. I know how much he appreciates that. In the meantime, that Sunday is tomorrow, so that was right. Okay. In the meantime, tonight, they're getting ready.
There he is. There's that stud.
We ready. I mean, you got Skowski coming out here. You can see the intensity in the eyes.
Neck brace. I love that neck brace.
I kind of want to wear a neck brace for our shows.
Old school football, man. That's old school football right there.
I feel like I'm an old school football guy, you know?
I want to see you put in a neck brace next week.
Yeah, I mean, maybe we'll go for that. Zamir White right here. Last season, 11 touchdowns. Again, this is a Georgia offense that can be incredibly explosive.
They can. They have two solid backs. You see Zamir White. He's the number one guy. James Cook, the little brother of Dalvin Cook. I want to see these two guys get off. But in order for those two guys to get off, you know what has to be right? That offensive line. That offensive line last year, when it came to the run game, was not the Georgia offensive line that we're accustomed to seeing with great running backs. But it's going to be a tough task because they have a defensive line that is very, very physical. But hopefully Georgia can get this thing together tonight and rush the football effectively.
There is one thing I can guarantee you. The chaos is just starting. We're going to drop in now, take a look at some of the crazy and twisted plays from week 1, presented by Twisted Tea. Harry Douglas, are you ready?
Yes, I am. Let's go.
Let's go is what they were saying to Sam Howell when they started the game, but it did not go very well as he did not do the interception thing once, but twice, but 3 times a picker.
1, 2, 3, take the ground that belongs to me, Fitz, except Sam Howell did not take the ground that belonged to him against Virginia Tech. And I said going into this season, if North Carolina had a chance to have a big year, Sam Howell did not have to be good. He had to be great. He didn't even give his team a chance against the Virginia Tech Hokies.
Yeah, the Hokies
Lane
started
Stadium
with
was
Enter
rocking.
Sandman. They ended just going to sleep. Next up, we got a thick 6 coming at you. Oh, UConn barely plays football, but they decided to let Holy Cross get this one. Jason Modak takes it to the crib. Big man, pick 6.
Ooh, I really like this one. Guess what? Shout out to my guy, Mike Golick Jr. Big guys need loving, too. The big man is rumbling and stumbling and bumbling and scores a touchdown. Shout out to my guy, Golick.
Look at pushing the quarterback out of the way like he's headed for the cinnamon roll at the buffet line. You cannot stop him. You also can't stop this. Oh, Jim Harbaugh. Everybody needs a hype guy like that. What do you think Harry was doing to me before the show?
Fitz, I'm your hype man. You're my hype man. Shout out to Jim Harbaugh for finally doing something good and being his quarterback's hype man.
Yeah, let's calm some of the praise before we see him take on somebody real. But in the meantime, just makes me want more of this chaos. I don't need more Mayo because he took it all. We saw this at the top of the show. It's actually twisted. A fan on game day dumps a tub of mayo on himself? I don't know how I feel about that, Harry.
Oh, I think I feel pretty good because I am a Mayo fan. So can I please have some of that mayo? I think I belong out there with that fan, though.
At least make it like ranch dressing or something. And by the way, I can guarantee you one thing throughout the course of college football. That guy's not going home with anybody tonight because he's going to smell disgusting. That's fact.
I agree with you 100% on that, Fitz.
I don't know. I'd still dunk myself in mayo for you, though.
I love it.
Oh! Oh, I can't transition fast enough. It's time for Best Plays, brought to you by Coca-Cola Zero Sugar. And it starts with Kayvon Thibodeau with a strip sack. Oh, there's a reason that this guy's at the top of everybody's draft board. He did leave this game with an injury, but made his mark. Huge opportunity for him. Came in it. Look at this, just this hit, Harry.
Oh, like you said, it's definitely a reason why he's going to be either the number 1 draft pick or the number 2 draft pick. But I'm actually worried that he did go out this game with an injury. I seen him on the sideline. I don't know if it was an Achilles or if it was an ankle. But if this guy can't go for Oregon, going against Ohio State next week, that's going to be a huge loss. I mean, a huge loss for the Oregon defense.
It's never too early to remind everybody, though, that the College Football Playoff Committee factors in players that aren't available due to injury. So if he can't go, and Oregon can still at least put up a fight, then Oregon can feel like they're still in this conference. It's crazy to be saying that for a Week 2 matchup, but also, Texans fans, don't worry, since you're going to be the worst team in the NFL this year, we'll get you covered on who you're going to pick.
Are you sure about that? You sure it's not going to be Detroit?
I mean, if you say the Raiders, I will come out of this chair.
I said Detroit. I think it's going to be Detroit.
Can we move on to the next play?
Yes, we can.
It's not going to be Detroit. It's going to be the Texans. All right, let's
go.
move on to the next play. And this is a little Penn State love. We showed you this earlier, but this is Sean Clifford just getting back there, slingshotting, just saying, you know what? I'm going to find my guy. I'm just going to heave ho, hi ho, off to the end zone we go. Oh, beautiful work by Jahan Dotson. But again, Harry, I got to say it. Clifford was not particularly accurate. Now, we're showing this one because it's great. Yeah. But there were a couple of overthrows where he was wide open, and one, there was a beautiful catch, but severely underthrown.
And I actually seen why he was so wide open. The safety bit up on the run, which I don't understand why the safety bit up on the run that hard. But when you have one of the best players that's on the football field, in Jahan Dotson, and you leave him wide open, you can see it from the back angle as we show this replay. There's no reason why you should be biting up. I'm going to be looking at the best player on the football field at that point, which is Jahan Dotson, a guy that, for some reason, I think Penn State needs to find a more of a reason to get him the football. Just throw it to him. Just pick it up, throw it to him, give him a little now. Let him do the rest. He's that athletic. He's that good for this Penn State team.
At least 3 plays during the course of the second half of the game where that safety made the same mistake. I feel like he's going to be sitting in the film room saying, my bad. My bad.
And I'll tell you this, coaches hate when players hit them with the, my bad, coach, that's on me. No, it's okay, son. You come over here and sit beside me. We know it's your bad, but you won't play next week.
Yeah, my bad doesn't save jobs for people. All right, let's get to the next highlight. And this comes from Bama, Miami, a game that some hoped would be good. It was not. Bryce Young hitting John Mechie. Again, Mechie coming through and then saying, like, I want the end zone. I will take what is mine, good sire. I'll have seconds of the tasty treats.
He hit him with the dead leg. We call that little stutter move a dead leg. I seen Devin Hester do it for so many years, but he took flight. I believe I can fly.
Oh, I like that. See, we're going to work in as many.
I believe I can touch the sky. Man, he flying. I like John Mechie, man, one of the better receivers in college football. But I like how Bryce Young just settled in.
Yeah.
Just got the ball to his playmakers. And there was a lot of times where Miami sent blitzes at him, but he just hit him with the look, But when he scrambles, let me tell you what I love the most. When he scrambles, he's still looking downfield to complete the football to his weapons. He's not trying to run first. He's still trying to pass. But if he has to run, he does it.
The most concerning thing for anybody that hates Alabama is that Bryce Young looked like he was in control today. And it looked very easy. It looked like he processed quickly. It looked like he knew what he was doing with the football. It all looked easy. And if you're looking at it trying to find a weakness in Alabama, which I've been doing, I'm with you guys. I've been trying to find a weakness. Today, I sat there and said, oh, shoot, I may have not been right about the adjustment period for Bryce Young. I'm just saying, it's only one game, but that's so far.
But shout out to Bill O'Brien for giving him those easy completions early on to settle him in. That's what good coaches do. You understand your players. You understand the moment. You understand the game. You give him some little easy passes, and I think he completed a lot of balls early to Mechie, right? So now you got the ball to your best player. Your quarterback's feeling some type of way now. He has his little bravado going a little bit, has his little MO, got his juices flowing. And you see the kind of game he had, 344 yards, 4 touchdowns. Watch out for Bryce Young because he made a Heisman case today.
Y'all know I love celebrating the good, but we also love celebrating the bad. We keep growing up with this segment always around Bruh delivered by Pizza Hut. We'll show you some of the worst of the college football action from week 1. You ready for this?
Let's go.
All right, let's start. I got 2 words for you, and then I'm just going to let Harry Douglas go on bruh. Spencer Rattler.
Bruh. You see the running back wide open in the flat. Bruh, I understand you're a Heisman favorite, Heisman candidate, but bruh, you don't have to be a hero in game 1. Just throw the ball to the running back who happens to be, bruh, wide open in the flat. Come on, man.
I mean, bruh, he had all opportunity if he gets that to the running back for so much. Let's move this on to bruh. I think you're going to have something to say. Look at that catch. Oh, one-handed grab. But the ref threw the flag for holding. It's all for nothing, Harry. What are you thinking?
Bruh, the ref is a hater. Bruh, there's always somebody trying to hold you down. You know what, bruh? Let's get a van and send that ref in that van and send him out of that football game. We need a substitution, bruh.
I just need big boys to follow the rules. Next up, speaking of following the rules, bruh, Hank Bachmeier, during a weather delay, decides he's going to zoom in to join the class. Bruh, does it count as attendance if you're doing it during a game?
Bruh, I don't care how you do it. If you get in class in during the game, that teacher, bruh, better give him an A in that class. I promise you.
Oh, well, I've got nothing but hate for this last one. Bruh, Miami, giving you all sorts of... All right, so look at this. They are getting their butts kicked, down 27-0. And then they get a turnover, they think. Now, the turnover's negated, so that's neither here nor there. But you can't pull out the turnover chain when you're getting your butt kicked, bruh.
Bruh, I don't understand what is going on in 2021, but if you're celebrating anything when you're down 27-0, bruh, time to go back to Miami. Bruh, the U is not back.
What's a U upside down? I don't know. Whatever we saw today.
N, nothing from the Miami Hurricanes.
D5G. Try that all again. It's College Football Show presented by AT&T. 5G. Can't sit anywhere fancy in these chairs. Sometimes the mics don't cooperate. He's Harry Douglas. I'm Jason Fitz. And obviously we know the big game going on right now, Georgia, Clemson. It has just kicked off. I believe we're going to be able to get you a live look in here, which we can do on this show. We're here with you every single Saturday, by the way, from 7 to 8 p.m. Harry and I also hanging out with you for the wrap-up show at 11 p.m. tonight. So this is just the beginning of our fun night. But this is the opening drive of this game, obviously, and all eyes are going to be on these defenses and how they manage what the game plan is. You know, how do you slow down JT Daniels?
Well, big third down right here, and that's good by JT Daniels. Get the ball out quick, get it to your receiver, quick game, first down. Now you have some confidence against this Clemson defense who we know is going to be so good this year. But quick game, but you want to be in third and manageables like they just were. You don't want to be in third and longs because that's where Coach Venables dialed things up.
Yeah, and I love getting to the line of scrimmage quickly. I love giving themselves the opportunity to get a look at the defense quickly. I mean, this is modern football 101, and it's become such a part of the way the game is coached, right? You're able to get into the quarterback's ear, help them through this.
You want to know what this is? This is their coaching staff taking note from that Ohio State game and seeing what Ohio State did. Because there was a lot of times in that game, but the tempo that Ohio State played with, that this Clemson defense couldn't even get lined up. So you go a little tempo. Maybe you snap the football. Maybe you look to the sideline and see if we need to change the football play. But you mix things up so that defensive coordinator, Brent Venables, who's so good, can't get a beat on what you're doing and can't dial things up.
Yeah, that's so true, Harry, and such a brilliant part of what this game plan looks like. I mean, look at the guys right now trying to quickly communicate on the defensive side of the ball. It's because, realistically, everybody's learned from this, including Clemson. They're trying to figure out how to get it in there earlier. But when you have a mind like Brent Venables, I think you do have to be aggressive in trying to get ahead of their opportunity to look at it and say, hey, guys, here's what we're doing. And if you take that communication away, that's a huge part of this.
And you see, getting lined up quick on the line of scrimmage just drew a flag against the Clemson defense, delay a game against those guys. So look for Georgia to move with a little bit more tempo this year, right? They know they have a guy at the quarterback position who can play the game, who can be efficient, who can make great decisions. He's not going to turn the football over. He didn't do that last year. So look for them to put a little bit more on JT Daniels' shoulders so they can be productive.
Yeah, and I think the other part of this is for Clemson, there's a big step-up moment because to your point about the Ohio State game, if you want to believe that there's been a blueprint on how to defeat this team, Well, this is Clemson's chance to step up and say, no, we figured that out. Like, we took a look at our Death Star, and we figured out how to fix the one weakness that we have in it. And that's an important part because Clemson doesn't have anything left on their schedule after this game, right? So this is going to also be a blueprint game for the Alabamas of the world that are thinking they might face this Clemson team in the college football playoff.
And I tell you, from a defensive standpoint, this Clemson group, I want Coach Venables and Coach Sweeney to let these guys do a little bit more on their own, right? Don't have these guys try to look to the sideline and go with your calls. Let these leaders, let these older guys make the calls, live with it so they can play fast and physical.
Yeah,
not have to think so much.
This game currently on ABC, obviously. He's Harry Douglas. I'm Jason Fitz. We are hanging out with you, and we are here for, until 8 o'clock, getting you everything you need to know about all day. But we're doing a live look-in right now on the game everybody has all eyes on. And I said it earlier, Harry. I believe that this game puts so much pressure on Clemson. And hear me out, because there's still a path. For Georgia, you lose this game, you still have a path to the national championship. All you got to do is win out, which is a big all. You're going to have to win the SEC championship. That's a big ask. But what did we see today? I mean, Miami's not any good comparatively, right? North Carolina got beat yesterday. If you're Clemson, you don't have anything left on your schedule after this game to show anybody what your team's really capable of.
And it's funny, Fitz, because I take the opposite spectrum of things. I see it a little different. I feel like this is a must-win for Georgia because if you win this football game and you happen to lose to Alabama in the SEC championship game, you still have an opportunity to make the college football playoffs because you lost to the #1 team in the country, especially if it's a close game. You still have an opportunity.
Now, you're definitely true. Like, so I watch anything Gordon Ramsay's ever on, and like on Hell's Kitchen, they gave a punishment pass out. Like, this game for Georgia to me is a punishment pass. If they win it, then, hey, they lose a game later on, you still beat Clemson.
You got wiggle room.
Right? You lose it, you lose your wiggle room. What I can't find is wiggle room for Clemson if they lose this game. But, again, I'm going to use my two least favorite words in all of college football lexicon. Eye test is going to matter to all of this because there's a lot of people that are going to use this game to figure out how good both of these teams are.
They are. As Georgia just down the football at the punt on the 10-yard line, that was big. Field position is going to be huge in this game. The longer you can make these teams and these quarterbacks methodically work the football down the football field, it's the longer I think it's going to be better for your team. You don't want to give these guys short fields. Not JT Daniels, not DJ Uiagalelei, because we know how good both of these guys are at the quarterback positions. We know the weapons that they have. So if you can make them drive 90 yards to go get a touchdown, that's good. That's a recipe for success.
It's the College Football Show presented by AT&T 5G. Harry Douglas, Jason Fitz. We're here every Saturday from 7 to 8 p.m. Eastern on the ESPN app, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter Live, everywhere that you possibly watch from a second screen, we're there. So we're here to hang out with you every Saturday, get you caught up on everything you need to know. In the meantime, we're going to do something early because I like ranking things. And let's face it, college football is all about rankings. So we did this earlier today. I just have to throw that caveat out. We ranked today. We decided we'd give us our top 4. So, Harry, right now, who are your top 4 teams in all the land?
So I'm going to go number 1. I'm going to go with Alabama. I think they proved that today. I think they're the most complete team in college football. I don't see anyone beating the Alabama football team right now. Number 2, I'm going to go with Clemson because I think they're the second most complete football team in college football. Number 3, I'm going to go with Oklahoma. Now, I know we heard their defense is going to be better. We didn't see it much today, but hopefully down the line they can get those things better. Number 4, I'm going to go with Ohio State. I think they started off slow, but I think they're going to pick things up. And once they get going, especially offensively, it's going to be pretty scary for college football.
Well, our rankings are a little different. I agree with you. Alabama is the number 1 team in all the land, and I think if we had the fear of Alabama taking a step back today, Bryce Young only made that seem less likely, right? We can all agree with that. My number 2 team is Clemson, and part of that is because I think you've got DJ Uiagalelei, and like I said, you've got Brent Venables, somebody that I believe in a lot. I think tonight's game is going to tell us who 2 and 3 are, though. Realistically, I've got Georgia at number 3. Whoever wins this game, I think, goes to 3 or 2, and the other goes to 3. Like, I think this is a close game, and we're seeing 2 of the 4 best teams in the country. I put Oklahoma in at number 4, and at the time, I felt pretty good about it. It was early in the Oklahoma game. Things did not end well for that Oklahoma matchup. I'm not sure that we're not going to end up this year a lot like we were last year, where we have 3 teams that we are pretty sure belong in the playoffs, and then a 4th team we're just trying to figure out who it is. And by the way, for anybody saying it's going to be Cincinnati, I love you. I wish it could be Cincinnati. It will not be Cincinnati. Cincinnati has to play a very difficult schedule this year. They're not going to go on. If Cincinnati goes undefeated, I will slow dance with Harry Douglas right here while we play Celine Dion during the last show of the season.
Well, especially if you look at the SEC. The SEC is the strongest conference. There's a possibility those guys can get 2 teams out of the division. And what happens if Texas A&M, I can't remember if they play Alabama or not this year, but if they do, say they lose to Alabama, right, and they only have that 1 loss in the season, they have a case that they can be in the playoffs. That's what happened to them last year, and I thought they actually were the better candidate to get that 4th seed, but I'm not going to get into that because that's old news.
For anybody that doesn't believe that there's a chance for multiple SEC teams every year, if there wasn't that fear, they wouldn't be stopping the conversation on playoff expansion. I'm just saying, we all know
I agree with you
how many teams are going to come through. All right, so, Harry, obviously this is Saturday. Tomorrow's Sunday. There's great football. But on Monday, you're doing something kind of cool.
I'm lucky enough to be the honorary captain for the Louisville Cardinals, my alma mater. That's my home away from home, so I'm so honored. And I almost cried, man, when they asked me, because things like that mean a lot to me, because I love that program, I love that city, and that game is being played at Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta where I live, so it means that much more to me, so I can't wait. Me and Patrick Willis, old Miss linebacker. I played against Patrick Willis when he was at San Francisco and I was in Atlanta. Look at young Slim HD.
Track the ball.
Look at young Slim HD, baby. Look how slim I was.
Man, look, I've said it a million
against
times.
Miami right there. Miami was a top program still.
I like how you qualified that. Like, against Miami, a different Miami than we saw today. 2007 second-team All-American wide receiver at Louisville. 10 seasons in the NFL with the Falcons and Titans. You know, Harry, I can only speak to the version of you that I know now. And Louisville's lucky to have you as a speaking, as a vocal part of somebody that's out there speaking for that school. It's an incredible moment. By the way, you can check Louisville versus Ole Miss Monday, 8 p.m. Eastern on ESPN. As noted today on game day, and is significant, Lane Kiffin will not be available to coach in that game. He has tested positive for COVID, even though he is vaccinated. They are at 100% vaccination rate. He will not be on the sideline. So as we get more information on that, we will find out. But you can check out that game, 8 p.m. Eastern, and you can watch Harry. Do you get to flip the coin as the honorary captain, or just go out there?
I don't know.
Do you get to call
I'm just going to be excited to go out there.
If you call it, are you calling heads or tails?
I am the head, never the tail.
Oh, I knew you'd have a fancy answer for that. All right, we're going to get you back into the Clemson game here, get you caught up on where that game is as Clemson, Georgia has kicked off. And Trevor Lawrence is just hanging out, as he should be.
Is that
watching
his
the action?
Wife?
I don't know.
Fiance?
I have.
Did he get married?
He got married. Yeah, he got married.
Is that?
It's got to be his wife, right?
I didn't know.
I got nothing.
Hey, Trevor got some juice, man. Hey.
I mean, you're QB1 coming out of Clemson in the first pick of the
Trevor
draft.
has some juice.
All right,
okay, Trevor, we see you, sunshine.
Clemson, obviously. I always think there are 2 interesting things to look at, from my mind, in the first week of the college football season. One is the first 2 drives, because it's so scripted by both teams. They've been practicing what they're going to run. And then the other is the fourth quarter, because you get a real idea of where conditioning is and talent starts to separate itself. So it's interesting to see the first drive for Georgia sort of go where it went, and then we see, we'll see how this game plays on as it goes on. But we've seen that in so many of these games where you saw Ohio State break out in the second half, things like that.
I think the most thing I'm excited about when it comes to college football is that we had so many premier matchups in week 1. So that put a point of emphasis in training camp to these head coaches. Hey, we don't have time to start slow. Even though we may have seen some of these teams start slow, understand that the quality of opponents were different this year. And we had a lot of quality premier matchups in week 1. So college football is going to be good this year.
Yeah, it's going to be an amazing season. And I say this every year when the season starts, but I can't echo it loudly enough. I've been a part of digital shows for ESPN for years. We are proud to get to come here and talk to you about college football every week. We're proud to get to do it across all of our platforms. This show will be here every single Saturday from 7 to 8. Harry and I also on the wrap-up coming up at 11 p.m. We'll be getting you caught up on this game and everything else that happened. But you can watch digital shows throughout the course of the day. I want to give a shout-out to Christine Williamson and Harry Lyles, who did a great job this morning on Countdown to Game Day, also here. So if you're not familiar with the ESPN app, Twitter, YouTube, Facebook, all of the digital places resources. We have great shows almost every single day that you can watch across college football, bringing you the best of the best. So we're really happy to get to do that. In the meantime, also want to make sure everybody's aware of some of the work we're doing here with the Red Cross. Thousands are affected by Hurricane Ida, and they urgently need support. You can donate at redcross.org/ESPN. That's redcross.org/ESPN to help the Red Cross respond to and help people recover from this disaster. Every single dime makes a difference. Please consider getting out there and making a difference if you can right now. It's an incredible time. Our thoughts and prayers continue to go to everybody in that area that was impacted and affected. In the meantime, Harry Douglas, Jason Fitz, we've had a blast getting to hang out with you. Make sure you authenticate. Stay in the app. You can watch football right here every single Saturday. You can watch us. You can hang out with us. We will be back throughout the course of the evening. We're not going anywhere. This has been the College Football Show presented by AT&T 5G. Go to ABC, watch Clemson, watch Georgia. He's Harry Douglas. I'm Jason Fitz. Got to give thanks to everybody behind the scenes. Thanks so much for hanging out with us. Enjoy a great night of football.